This family isn't going to survive.
Oh, hell no. Not up in here.
She's so damn dramatic.
From Tyler Perry.
Yes, me to be the mission of service.
This funeral gonna be messed up.
Get ready for Medea's last movie ever.
We're having some trouble keeping it down.
Talk about pitching a tent.
A Madea family funeral.
I want to know if he's an organ donor.
Rated PG-13.
That is a filthy lie, and you know it, Tyler Perry. You know you're going to make another Madea movie pretty soon after this comes out, so don't even lie to your audience. And sure enough, they did make another Madea movie a couple years later, so you're wrong on that front there. However, this was the last Tyler Perry movie to be released in theaters from Lionsgate, because this was the end of his deal. He took his deal over to Paramount and Netflix, where he would eventually kind of, essentially go on to put out his movies through that in particular. Even though he has has he put some movies on theaters since then? I don't think he has. Madea Homecoming went to Netflix, so did Medea's Destination Wedding, so did Joe's College Road Trip. I don't think he's had a theatrical release since then, so this is kind of a big deal for him to not have a movie after this point going to theaters, but I haven't even introduced you into the show yet. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We are looking at 2 weekends here because there are very little amount of movies this weekend. 2 this weekend and March 1st, and then 1 big one on March 8th, which is, of course, easily the biggest of the new releases here. But let's get right to it with the first movie we have here, and that is A Madea Family Funeral, which features Tyler Perry once again as Madea, as her and her friends are setting up an unexpected funeral during a family get-together in Maxine, Georgia. And, they say that somebody in this family will die, and I think most people are going to be like, unless it's Madea, nobody really gives a fuck, because really, even the audience that Tyler Perry's Madea movies have been targeted to since that first film 14 years ago, even they would look at this and go like, I don't give a fuck. We'll still go see the movies, but you can't expect us to go into this film and expect us to be shocked and all when, someone important in this family is going to die, when we know literally nothing about this family whatsoever. Really, what more do I gotta say about a film like this? It's your typical Tyler Perry movie. It's your typical Madea movie. There's gonna be a lot of humor you've seen in the other Madea films that are not very funny. Especially that bit right there with the casket opening because the dead guy's got an erection. Which, how's that supposed to work if the guy is dead? But I don't know. But what more can you really say about this that hasn't already been said about it? It's just like, have you seen the other Tyler Perry movie? Have you seen the other Madea movies? Let's go with that. Have you seen the other Madea movies? Did you like those ones? You're probably gonna like those ones here. I haven't seen most of the Madea movies, and even the ones that I've seen, I'm not really the biggest fan of. I'm not really the target audience for it, obviously. So, I don't know. To me, it doesn't work. But to others, hey, he's made so many of these movies, 11 of them at this point, and then there's still 2 more after this. So, he has a target audience to him. So, hey, you got to give credit where credit is due to Tyler Perry. He knows his audience. He knows how to make these movies successful. And, hey, it's worked out for him. So, who am I to judge? No, really, who am I to judge over him? But, anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to the other movie. This weekend in particular really is not that great, specifically with the next movie too. Chloe Grace Moretz and Isabella Hubbard, not Isabella Rossellini. Yeah, I said that last time around because clearly I can't do my research before I actually do these reviews in particular. But let's take a look at Greta.
What's wrong, darling?
I'm really not feeling well.
Would you like to lay down?
No, I think I should just go home. Why are you doing this? Oh my
God! We're connected. You start again. We haven't had dessert.
What did you do?
Greta.
Your first problem in particular is that you're trying to sell this movie like it's a Get Out knockoff with the T and all that. But it's not that type of movie overall. This is directed by Neil Jordan, who of course gave us classics like The Crying Game, Interview with a Vampire, but hasn't really made a good movie in a long, long time. I think the last one that was even remotely decent was The Brave One, but even then that wasn't the greatest one overall. But in this movie, Chloe Grace Moretz is a young woman who befriends a lonely widow played by Isabella Hubbard, who becomes disturbingly obsessed with her. Sadly, not to the point of something like a Carol, where she ends up falling in love with her. No, it's a movie where, it's trying to be risque, but it just and trying to be, you know, a taut psychological thriller, if you will, but it's not really any of that. Really, it's just a generic film we've seen done to death before, and despite the actress's best efforts to try to keep it together here, it's not really enough to make this a great movie overall. It came and went. It's largely been forgotten for obvious reasons because it's a movie we've seen done to death before, and there's really nothing that intimidating about Isabella Hubbard's character in this movie to make us really feel for Crowley Grace Moretz in the situation. Yeah, it sucks for her to be in this situation, but you know what? Make the story more interesting. Give us something that we haven't seen done before. And sadly, this movie doesn't do that, and just kind of like, it just kind of goes the predictable route here, and just really doesn't go anywhere you expect it to. It's not a great movie. It's not a great film at all, so again, not much more to really add to this whatsoever. So let's go ahead and get to the big new release of the show, and that is the one movie from March 8th, 2019. It's the latest film in the Marvel Studios library. The Marvel Cinematic Universe welcomes in Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
War is a universal language. I know a renegade soldier when I see one. Never occurred to me that one might come from above. Space invasion, big car chase. Truth be told, I was ready to hang it up till I met you today. So you're not from around here?
It's hard to explain. I keep having these memories. I see flashes. I think I had a life here. But I can't tell if it's real.
We have no idea what threats are out there. We can't do this alone. We need you.
I'm not what you think I am.
The movie that made every misogynistic man out there turn against Brie Larson, because heaven forbid that this woman who's won an Academy Award, proving her worth as an actress, plays this role about a strong female superhero. And yeah, you're completely against this, but you have no problems with it whenever DC does it. But it's stupid stuff right here. And, you know, the movie got a bad rap. This series has gotten a bad rap over the years, but honestly, this isn't a bad movie, nor is The Marvels. I mean, the movies are fine. They're not the greatest movies ever, but they're certainly not as bad as people make them out to be. But this is a pivotal movie, as it shows. I mean, how can you go wrong with a movie where the main character is okay with punching an older woman who is actually the older woman is actually she thinks is probably an alien, because that's part of the things with the plot in particular. But I'll get to that as we go along here. But in the movie, Brie Larson plays Carol Danvers, who becomes one of the universe's most powerful heroes when Earth is caught in the middle of a galactic war between two alien races. As you can see from the trailer, it takes place in the 1990s because Blockbuster Video. And also Samuel L. Jackson looking like he did in the mid-90s and stuff like The Long Kiss Goodnight. So, yeah, it's cool to see Sam Jackson in that form. Plus, you know, he doesn't have the eye patch, so we find out why the eye patch is now on him. And in a way, the way they do it in the film is actually pretty funny, too. I'll get to that as we go along here, too. But Captain Marvel is a good movie, for the most part. It's not a bad movie at all. It's definitely a movie that may be a little too formulaic and flawed than some of the other MCU movies, more so considering that this character is supposed to be an important character building up to Avengers Endgame, which comes out in about 7 weeks' time by the time we're looking at this. And I'll touch on that as we go along here, but I'll honestly admit this. it's one of those movies that starts off really slow. We've been getting a lot of these movies lately where it starts off really slow, doesn't really do anything at first, but then as the film goes along, it does get going. And the first half of the movie is okay. Nothing impressive or spectacular. The visuals can look nice every once in a while, as are the action sequences, but the film doesn't really get going, and the development of Carol Danvers doesn't really get developed much until we get to that second half. The movie tries to quickly flash her past life in these flashes during one scene that ends up being more confusing than actually explaining her character, to the point where it's very cliche traits. Like, you've got elements where, these are traits for, like, the type of story, like, she had an abusive father, men pretty much have treated her like scum, just like the men who saw that this movie was coming out did online, and that she wasn't given much respect when she was in training, and you can't really develop this character that way by just quickly flashing those things in front of us. I mean, later on in the film, where things start to calm down a little bit, it's more subdued, they take their time with it, that's when it gets going. It works there, but really in the beginning, it just felt like they were just trying to cram way too much in on you. Like, they were just throwing everything at the wall at you. Like, here's Carol Danvers, here's what you can do, take that, take this, like that right there. But, yeah, they try to cram way too much in the beginning into one scene to move the story along. They just needed to take their time and then get going here. And I like Brie Larson. I really do think she's a fantastic actress. She's been great in a lot of movies. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Trainwreck, Don John, Kong Skull Island. I mean, there's a reason why she won the Academy Award for Room. I mean, she was great in that movie. She's a more than capable actress. And I like her here as Captain Marvel, but I will admit it did, again, take me a while to really buy into her as this character. Again, not until we get up to the second half did I really start to believe her in this role and as this character. But really, the charm of the movie comes with her interactions with her and Samuel L. Jackson, who do work off each other very well. And that's the one thing that easily establishes that works very well here. And again, the de-aging process that they used to make Samuel L. Jackson look like he did in the 90s, and they did the same thing for Clark Gregg in his brief role as Coulson, is very well done. Marvel, say what you will about nowadays with some of the VFX works they're doing now, and the fact that they got rid of a lot of their people in recent years, but the fact that back in the mid-2010s, with stuff like this, and Ant-Man and Captain America Civil War, where they did a good job of de-aging these actors like Michael Douglas, Robert Downey Jr., and Sam Jackson to make them look like they did, that's impressive stuff that they were able to do in these movies, and I really like that. I like the fact that they did that with this. The rest of the cast is great, too. Jude Law is very good here, although he is very minuscule in this than you think. They set him up to be, like, kind of the big villain of the movie, and he really is not that at all. Like, Ben Mendelsohn is very good in the film, too. So you have Annette Bening also having a good time with her role. You even get to see characters from Guardians of the Galaxy in this one before what they look like in the film. Like, you have Lee Pace's Ronan the Accuser from the first movie, and Jaimin Hansu's Korath in this. Like, I was kind of surprised they didn't connect it more to Guardians of the Galaxy more, but the visuals are definitely a mixed bag. A lot of the times they can look pretty good, but there are definitely times when the makeup and the visuals look pretty bad. There was a lot of memes going on around that time about the makeup work on Ben Mendelsohn. In fact, the Krill themselves, I'm sorry, they look way too similar to the makeup designs of the Romulans in the new Star Trek movies. Watch those newer Star Trek movies, and then watch the Krill in this. Tell me those don't look the same. But by far, the worst effect in the movie is Carol Danvers' helmet in the suit. I mean, that was bad. That looked horrendous. The mask itself looks like the worst CG possible, and that mohawk hair, just why? Like, I don't get it. I mean, it's the 1990s, I understand that, but you seriously couldn't make that look any better than that. And from what I was told back then, it looks just as bad in the comics, but it was going to be tough to do that. But man, the fact that someone looked at that and said, no, this is good, we'll keep it in there. I mean, that's a big mistake right there to do that. But I thought the cinematography overall was pretty good, and sometimes the fast-paced editing can actually work out. Like one of the best scenes in the film, where they're flashing back to those various times of Carol's past life, with her getting back up on her feet. And it makes for an effective and cool-looking series of shots that does stand out very well. I mean, yeah, this movie overall, the story is your typical MCU origin story, but one that does its job, but doesn't work as well as you'd hope it would. Because of that, it does kind of get dull a little bit at times early on for a good chunk of the film. It's not until we get to the second half and more the third act where you finally get to see them pick up the pace and do the good fun stuff here. There's not even a whole lot of comedy in this movie. Most of it is taken seriously, not overdone, but still too seriously. But there are a few bits of comedy that did work very well, and most of it really is on the cat in the movie, Goose the cat, who really is a scene stealer, as we find out that he's actually an alien, and he, like, he'll have, like, alien tentacles coming out of him. That was the biggest laugh of the movie, and of course the big scene where, it's because of him that he scratches Nick Fury's eye, and that's why he wears the eye patch. Like, that stuff is great right there, and they give him a good post-credit scene too, with a silly but fun segment, kind of like with Ant-Man and the Wasp and its end credits. Which, by the way, speaking of the post-credit scene, let's talk about that, because it does lead to my biggest problem with the film. I mean, this is the first post-credit scene after the main credits is a scene that honestly looks like it's being taken straight out of Avengers Endgame, which it really wasn't, but you could swear that it looked like a scene they were going to put it, that was originally filmed for that, but then Kevin Feige looked at it and said, let's give him that list before Captain Marvel. I mean, we will put it in the final film, but it's a scene where you've got the present-day Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, Bruce Banner, and James Rhodes monitoring the pager that Fury activated prior to his disintegration in Avengers Infinity War, and then Danvers arrives asking, where's Fury? And that's where it ends. Like, it's a well-done scene, but the biggest problem I have with this is that they've been talking about how Captain Marvel is supposed to be a huge role in defeating Thanos in Avengers Endgame, as well as the possibility that Captain Marvel might fill the leader role for Captain America once Endgame happens, because more than likely, at the time we thought, well, the original Avengers are probably going to die. They've been around for a long time. Cap's gone, Thor's gone, Iron Man's gone. Well, technically one of them ended up being true, but we'll save that for 7 weeks' time when Avengers Endgame comes out. But that was my thinking back then. I mean, the movie didn't really do a good job of setting up why Captain Marvel is this capable enough to defeat Thanos. There's nothing really all that different about Captain Marvel that this movie shows that makes her different than the other heroes. The one thing that they show is that she can destroy ballistic missiles before they hit the Earth, but that's about it. Like, it's the last big movie before we get to Endgame, and for them to be teasing Captain Marvel in a significant role, and then not really showing off that performance for what she could do to Thanos in this, I mean, we're going back to Bohemian Rhapsody, where it's basically the equivalent of Rami Malek accepting the Oscar for Bohemian Rhapsody, saying that Lucy Boynton was the heart of the movie, where she barely did anything except to be the love interest, and get offended by the fact that she called Freddie Mercury gay. I mean, I'm sorry, that still bugs me. Like, you're trying to sell something, but not showing the full potential of it. And again, it's an origin story. They're going to develop the character more with future films, but at the same time, you gotta show us more what Captain Marvel can do as a hero, and not just set up something and don't deliver on it. But you know what? I mean, we still hadn't seen Endgame yet, so I mean, they didn't really do a whole lot with her in Endgame, but they did enough to say that, they did enough with her to make her still a likable character, even though she didn't really have too much of a big thing against Thanos in the film. I mean, there was one fight scene in particular, but that's about it. But again, we'll save that for Endgame. But as far as this movie goes, it's formulaic, but it's still fun. It didn't really get going until the second half. Brie Larson was good for the most part. Every scene with Goose the Cat was great. My biggest flaw is that for a movie to set up Carol Danvers as a big part of the next movie and potentially the next phase of the MCU, they didn't really make much of a big deal out of that aspect overall. It wasn't until that first post-credits scene, which again looked like it was taking something out of Endgame, and I thought it was going to be a scene from that movie, but turns out it wasn't. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, though. It's definitely one of the lesser MCU movies in particular. I mean, it's right down there with stuff like Thor 1 and 2 or Iron Man 3 as one of the weaker MCU movies in particular. But it's still a fun movie regardless. I still really enjoy it. And I still have a lot of respect for this and also the Marvels, which I think the Marvels is definitely a much better movie when you add in the dynamic of adding Miss Marvel into the mix. I thought that movie worked much better because of the team aspect overall. And that's my personal opinion on that one. I think that one's definitely a much better movie than Captain Marvel is. But yeah. Also, I mean, like I said, the people who were bitching and moaning about this were also the same people that were bitching and moaning about Star Wars The Last Jedi. And you think that, and look at what happened with Star Wars after that. Look at what happened with the sequel trilogy after that. So, in other words, don't listen to the internet when it comes to superhero movies or genre films and all that, because in the end, the studios will do what they say, and the end result will be terrible stuff like that, like what happens with Star Wars, which we'll get to later on in the year, and yeah, we'll get to that. But Captain Marvel overall, I like it, don't love it though. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and once again, Another double weekend. I swear, I'm not doing this on purpose. It's just that, you know, you look at a slate of movies and then you see the next weekend there's only one movie we're talking about. So, yeah, unfortunately, I got to condense these down here. And, hey, it's going to help us out to get quicker to the end of this here. So, bear with me here. But in the middle of March, the movies on March 15th really aren't that great to begin with here. And, again, it's kind of like this weekend where the really good movie comes in the second weekend. But, we have the infamous Wonder Park, the Nickelodeon animated movie that they were so ready to prepare for the next big franchise that there was literally no director credited for this movie. I'm not even joking. That's literally what happened. So I think you can figure out how well that movie did. We'll also take a look at 5 Feet Apart, another Fault in Our Stars knockoff. We have Captive State, which is a movie that I am not too familiar with here. It's a sci-fi thriller. I feel like I should know this film, but we'll take a look at that. Is there anything else on March 15th that I'm missing here? I don't think so. But the big new release on March 22nd is Jordan Peele's directorial follow-up to Get Out, another great classic film from him, and that is Lupita Nyong'o in Us. So we'll take a look at that. So 4 films overall to look at on the next episode. Wonder Park, 5 Feet Apart, Captive State, and Us. So we'll take a look at those 4 films coming up tomorrow on the show, and I hope you will join me for that. But with all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care. Bye.